What's up, everybody? It's Stephen A. Williams, president and founder of the creditrepairshop.com. And in today's video, going to talk about something that is starting to sweep the country. It is starting to sweep the country. We're talking about judgments that are now being auctioned off to debt collection companies to go after people to collect. So now the normal process would be an original creditor would sue an individual or even a debt collector could sue an individual. And some of the times, a lot of these judgments did not get collected, mainly from original creditors. Usually, if it's from a debt collector, they're going to run through the process. But now we're starting to see that a lot of original creditors who have gotten judgments, a lot of them, they're just not in the business of collecting debt. So even if they had an attorney that was, went to court, got the judgment, you'd be surprised. A lot of these attorneys do not understand the process of debt collection because this is how they feel. My client, I did my job for them. I got the lawsuit, and I'm not in the business of debt collecting. And a lot of them don't want to go through, the added cost to their client to go back to court and to have a payment uh, to have the payment set up to come out of their paycheck every week because that takes a lot of paperwork. It's not as easy as people might think it is, and that's why there's a lot of judgments that are out there that are unsatisfied. So first, I'm going to talk about how we can deal with this stuff, but I'm going to show you proof because I'm always about showing proof. These are, can you believe that they got auctions out there now? They are actually auctioning off these judgments. So there's a company that's going out there. They're looking at all of the judgments they're going state by state, looking at all the judgments. They're calling up the original creditors and they're saying, hey, we would like to buy this from you. You're not getting paid. It's been sitting there for a certain period of time. Would you take this amount of money for it? And they would say, yes or no. It doesn't matter because they're just going to, a large number of people will say yes, and then they're going to package them up and sell them. So here's one here. It's for landlords, and take a look at this. This is crazy. So you have $228,000 landlord tenant judgments. And here is the city that it's from, and 140 cases. This is usually going to be from one, I think this one here might be from just one landlord group or management company. But look at this here. Total debt is $228,000. Yeah, $228,217. The median amount is 14 and the average debt is 1630. There's 140 accounts and they're all judgments and they're selling it for the opening bid is $5,130. 5,130. That's the opening bid. So what they're doing is they're gonna open this up and debt collection companies are gonna come and they're gonna buy these portfolios and they're going to gamble on hoping that a large number of the 140 people that are in this group here, this portfolio, has not filed bankruptcy and that they have jobs, that they're not going to be exempt from being garnished of their wages, and then they're going to be able to just go to the court, pay the paperwork fee, and start garnishing these individuals' wages. Like it's going to be that easy. This is like the new thing that they're going to start doing. And something that you need to be aware of here is look at these dates. It says 2012 to 2021. and the average award was 2017. Here is what's got me concerned about this the most, is that they can collect on a judgment for up to 20 years. For up to 20 years. So now, one of the things that I want people to check, if you're happen to have a judgment that is out there, either being purchased by a portfolio company, or if you have a judgment against you now, is that you need to check your state laws. In my state, if a company, original creditor, or a debt collector gets a judgment against an individual, they still have to renew the judgment at 10 years. And if it's not renewed at 10 years, the judgment, it's not valid anymore. It has to be done within 10 years, or on the date of the 10th year. It has to be renewed, or it's not going to be valid to move forward for the remaining 10 years, which would add up to 20 years. So now let's get into the solutions on what we can do. And you can see they're doing this stuff. Let me go back to the page here. They're doing this stuff for all types of accounts: payday loans, auto loans. I don't know what this one here is, but it's just, there's companies out here and they're just lining up these portfolios and going after people. Unpaid legal invoice. Look at this one. Unpaid legal invoices. So even law offices that they didn't get paid. See, that kind of validates what I said earlier. A lot of attorneys are just not. They just don't either want to do it, or they're not educated in how you have to go after individuals to collect on these judgments, because you got to have a system in place to be able to collect the money. And some companies are going to have to send you checks. Some companies will take, regardless, it's going to be a process. It's going to be a process, and people have to understand that. So a lot of these companies, a lot of these law firms, they just don't want to get into the business of collecting the debt. Like it's amazing. They'll go through all of the court proceedings to get the judgment, and if the individual is not able to pay right at that time, that's where all of this stuff starts to fall apart. So let's take a look at what you need to do if you find yourselves in situation where you have a judgment against you. Because see, this is the thing: if you have a judgment against you, a lot of the stuff that being able to fight against a judgment is gonna kind of go out of the window, unless you just recently got a judgment. So let's first look at step number one: is you need to see if you can reopen if you didn't file a response. So in my state, you have up to 6 months to file to have it reopened, and then you're going to be able to file a response. One thing that you need to be aware of is sometimes that the courts will not allow you to do that if they don't feel that how you would respond would make any difference in the case. But in most cases, I would say like 99.9% of the time, they're going to let you reopen it and file your response, and then you'll be able to see if you can win. And then if you need to respond to them, and you can't just deny the debt, you need to actually make them prove their claim, so you can at least have a chance of winning. So number two, if you could file a response, you filed a response appropriately. And I have videos showing what you can do for that, and there's a link below this video on helping you with that. Number three, if you can't file a response, you need to start settlement negotiations. And we'll get into that in a minute on that back and forth conversation on that. Number four, you need to find out if it's still held by the original creditor. If it is still held by the original creditor, then there's going to be a process to contact them to see what you can work out to pay off that debt. Next, if it's held by a portfolio company, which you could just see where I gave you the example of how much they're starting off with buying the debt, you could see that you would have a lot of leeway with negotiation. So I wrote this out right here. I hope you get a little bit out of what I'm about to do here. This is I call this uh, outward the out what you say in your inner thinking, because what I've found when dealing with debt, when dealing with when people have to just come to that realization that they got to do something about the debt that they have, even if it's not with a debt collector, even if it's not with a judgment, is that there's some type of inner talk that people have. And what I want to help you do is to get over the inner talk and to actually just focus on dealing with the debt so you can get this stuff taken care of. So let's just imagine that this is you, and you call them up and you say, I need to settle, and you had an inner talk why I need to settle. The reason why you had an inner talk is because you can't even believe that you're even in this situation, even though you know you really do know why you're in the situation, but you think to yourself, why do I even have to deal with this? And then you call the collector, and the collector say, hey, we own the debt, you need to pay up. And the inner talk of the collector is, I hope they don't file bankruptcy, because that is one of the risk of debt collection companies when they're buying these portfolios, that people could have ended up filing bankruptcy. So they also have to do their homework on that, but some of the times it does get missed. The next thing is you come back and you'll say, hey, I can't pay the whole amount. And the inner talk is, this is some BS. I don't even want to pay anything. The next is that the debt collectors, we have a judgment, and inner talk is, you're not saying that to them. Debt collector, we have a judgment. So what is your employment status? Inner talk, we're about to get paid, because they got you. They know that there's really nothing that you can do, especially if it's past a 6 month period. For my state, it's basically said and done, and you have to basically start a negotiation process. And then this is you. I work, but I don't make a lot of money. I'm struggling. Inner talk is, this is some BS. How can I get out of this? This is that's why I want people to understand that you got to focus on the solution. Like, a lot of people get stuck with, I don't want to pay. Why do I got to pay? All of that type of stuff, when you need to get focused on, hey, I got to figure out a way out of this, because if you don't, you're going to get them to where they're going to get a wage garnishment against you. And then you could end up having to pay an amount a lot more than what you would have had to pay if you would have negotiated with them on a payment arrangement, or if you were just doing a one-time lump sum payment. So now the collector, we'll follow up in a day or so. This is their inner talk. Submit that. This is what they're talking about in their office. Submit the court documents so we can get a wage garnishment. That's what they're doing. This is the process. This is what people go through. This is what people go through, and this is what you need to be aware of, so you can get focused on what you need to do to be able to deal with these debt collectors when they start coming after you for these judgments. So I'm hope that you appreciate that I've made you aware of. This is a new, well, it's not a new thing that's going around, but it is something that is starting to get a lot of debt collectors are starting to um, focus on this market here, because all of the work has already been done. All they have to do is just make the contact and file the appropriate documents to start getting wage garnishments. But they're actually auctioning off these portfolios now. So if you need help with your credit, please visit us at thecreditrepairshop.com. Watch the video, What Makes Us Different, so you can see my 8-point validation process and my two-phase settlement process. If you need your credit reports and scores, go to the website the number 3scores.com to grade your TransUnion, Equifax, Experian credit reports and all 3 scores. If you have debt collectors coming after you, grab my 3-pack of letters, statute of limitations letter, debt validation letter, and cease and desist collection activities letter, so you can stop debt collectors before it ever gets to this situation. Thank you for your time. Please post your questions and comments. Uh, Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't done that yet. Hit the notification bell also. This is Stephen A. Williams, president and founder of the CreditRepairShop.com.